All right, today is Tuesday. We're going to be reviewing how you review and record daily job activity, starting with Route Builder and then looking at Route Record. We'll also look at certain exceptions, such as off and on job stops. So to start, you'll go to Route Builder for a particular day. So usually it's your previous day. Go to Route Builder, and on here you've got all your different jobs that were planned for that day. If there was a change in the job, such as you had to add on a job or move a job to parked, you'd simply drag that job from from their particular job and then or their route and then move it off. So you would go in here and say, a little bit closer, this Walmart Supercenter, let's say we parked it. You move it over here and then reschedule it for the next day. If you needed to add on a job, I'm going to put this one back. You can see the red border that shows that there was a change. If you needed to add a particular job, so you have to look to see, did you add a route? So if a truck broke down and you added a route, you'd first add that route in. So you go in here and go 002, just add route without job, click add job route. And then you can see the route is there. If you need to add jobs to it, you go through and add jobs as necessary. So you'd add that in here, unchecked, just add route without job, and then click add job route. If you had to move jobs over, again, you would just drag and drop those over. So as opposed to moving them to park, you could come over here and move them into the next route that was just recently added. Back. If you needed to add job references, so you're reviewing the activity of the given day and you're reviewing your route sheets. If you were looking at your mobile route sheets versus a printed route sheet, you could grab that route sheet. So we'll go grab the route sheet, the view mobile route sheet. You could look at them either mobily, and you would see that there are comments, stop time 5:15. If there are other comments associated with the job, you could look at them there. If there were pictures or comments, there would be an alerts button that would be right there. So you would see that and you would be notified of pictures or comments. If you had to go and add a job reference, you would right click on the job. In this job reference field, you can come in here and write job 1, 2, 3, 4. Save that. That will show up for your billing, and that will get exported to your invoice to make sure that you're going to be able to get paid for the work that that you completed. Once you've got Route Builder correct, then you want to move to Route Record. You can go between Route Builder and Route Record one at a time. I recommend that you make sure Route Builder is all up to date, then go into Route Record. So in case you've got to move stuff around, it's already done before you start reviewing it. So then you would come into Route Record, select your date, select your route, and select Get Record. This route we're pulling, 001. You can see that the times are orange that have populated in here. This means that that there are mobile inputs and their GPS times. So all these jobs were geofence jobs that the vehicle was able to record and track when it crossed in there, as well as we had mobile inputs. So it will default to the GPS time. If we wanted to look at the mobile route sheet, we come here, select 001, selected, view mobile route sheet. We can do a comparison. So the operator said that he got here at 8:55 and was done by 9:04. If we go look at the GPS time, GPS says he got there at 8:53:56. So, fairly close, left at 9:04. If the GPS times come in and they are accurate, there really isn't that much of a review. You want to make sure it seems appropriate. Where you'll run into issues is if your geofence is drawn in such a manner that the operator could leave the geofence and then come back. And if they do that for a period of time or multiple times, then it may not record correctly. So you really got to look at your geofences when you put these in. If they will leave the job to go dump somewhere else, you need to expand your geofence. Otherwise, it's going to give you an incorrect time on the job. So you need to know your customer and know your work when creating your geofences for the times to report in. Otherwise, Eagle Eye will figure that the last instance when it left and came back was the time frame on the job. Right? When you go through and review your times here, there are a couple things that you're reviewing for your work. One, that all these times populated in. Two, that they seem appropriate. Again, know your customer, know your work. Want to make sure the right units and measure and rates are in there. Again, knowing your customer, knowing the type of work will give you a good idea of ensuring that your rates and your units and measure in. Making sure the invoice amount seems appropriate. So if you have a 0 in the invoice, but there's hours worked, potentially your rate is off, or there's an error somewhere along the way with your job setup. If the unit of measure is not inputted, or if there are other errors with the job, it'll be red, and you'll need to fix those. When you come down here, the route information is already included. We can see that this information has been inputted. Eagle Eye can estimate or guess at the unit number based off the activity that was driven. So if it is a geofenced work, it will guess and usually guess correctly because it'll know how many times the truck went into the geofence for that route. If you want to force the unit in, you can do this as part of your dispatching by putting that unit number in at Route Builder. So if you put the unit number in at Route Builder, not only will it show for your operator what unit they're supposed to take, but it will force that unit for route record. You can see here that this unit is listed in the upper left. It'll force the unit times to pull in for route record now, so there won't be any guessing associated with it. It'll pull that in. The operator name is here because it was dispatched to Bob, so that's why that time came in. That record went in. Then these are inputs from the operator themselves. So because the mobile route sheet was already used, all of our inputs are already included. And if we scroll down here, we're going to evaluate route performance. We can see that this route time took 10 hours and 6 minutes. Our travel time, which is a calculation of job time minus total route time, is 5 hours and 4 minutes. So this route is not optimized. If we're having travel time be the same as our job time, we probably are not maximizing our use of that operator in that route. Okay. We can see that our mileage has been pulled for IFTA. Now this is not an IFTA unit, so it doesn't pertain, but it does give us the total mileage that we can see, and that total miles should be pretty close to this total miles here, which is a calculation from arrival and departure miles. Right? When evaluating this, if your unit is wired for all the events, you should be able to get sweep miles. You should be able to get how much the handwork time has been in. You should be able to know your total sweep time. You should be able to have all this information so you know how much was I actually working versus actually being there. So our total job time was 5 hours and 2 minutes. Our sweep time was 3 hours and 52 minutes. That means our handwork was a little over an hour and 10 minutes. Does that seem correct? These types of things there will be things that you want to go and look at and make sure that everything calculates out correctly and that it matches what your expectations are for that route. If things do not match up, it means your events are not triggering correctly on your wiring, and that's where you need to start. That would be a different session to go through, but you would pull up the maintenance and work with your mechanic going through on the maintenance side to see how the events are wired. Right? So once you've gone through and you've reviewed this activity, if you want to do updates, so this universal field might be cans, might be something else, you might be putting a number in for this. Bonus hours, if you are using the payroll side or want to calculate bonus hours for your operators, you can put bonus hours in here associated with each job. So those are updates that you would want to do. Once you have that done, you click lock and save. Once you click lock and save, now there are two things that are available. Now this route and the jobs associated with it are available for billing, and it is also available to evaluate for the payroll side of it for the route. If we wanted to look at exceptions, so normally before you would lock it, you'd probably want to look at the exceptions for a particular day. So I'm going to come back to the 21st, and I'm going to look at off-job stops. Off-job stop would mean any stop that is not in a geofenced area. So this primarily pertains to parking lot work. If you're doing it or using it for construction, there's going to be a lot of sitting and stopping that doesn't necessarily pertain to you. You need to know your units and need to know what you're looking for. So these first three, I'm not even going to bother looking at because those are in construction work. Unit 144, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 10 minutes. So if we go view the map, we're now going to be able to see where this 10-minute off-job stop occurred. And if we scroll in here, we can see that it's a gas station. So they went to the gas station and stopped there for 10 minutes. That's what we would consider a break. So you can look at these exception reports and make sure, one, you understand how they're being generated. Two, you understand what's coming out and your threshold and what you really want to see. If it's really around 3 to 5 5 minutes, depending on how many of them they take, you probably aren't going to look at them too much. This will generate based off your administrative settings. Right now, we have in this exercise, anything over 2 minutes is going to show up as an off-job stop. You can move that up or down as you see fit. If I wanted to look at on-job stops, on-job stops would mean the unit is in the geofence, they are in their seats, and they're just sitting there. So that means they're just sitting on the job. So they cross the geofence. Let's say this job's supposed to take 20 minutes. They sat there for 15, worked 5, and left. So the total job time is 20 minutes, and you're not going to get an exception on that. But you could get an exception for on-job stops. And if we look at unit 115 here, this is a parking lot unit, he has a number of on-job stops where they're just sitting in a geofence. This is what we would call breaks, and there's an excessive amount of break time. Not a lot of time, but there's quite a few where he's sitting in the seats and just sitting on the job. You want to review this activity and follow up and use this as a learning opportunity with your operators. Also for yourself, it's a good opportunity to see for these particular jobs where they stop, this is going to add to our total job time. If we're not actually working in that time, either that route could be shortened, or maybe it's throwing off our job performance because our total job time is going to throw off what our activity would be for that particular unit. If we wanted to look at job performance, again, you come here. Job performance is in the performance report, and you do this over a period of time. Again, statistically speaking, you want more than 10 events to be statistically significant. But if you come in here, this is where your job performance would also show up. And you could look at that after the work's been done, which we review job performance on a different video. So again, to reiterate, once the routes have been completed from the prior day, you want to review your route sheets against the route record. If there were items where someone added something on and they might have done it on the fly and you got to add it later on, you will see that in comments, either on the handwritten one, or you would see it in comments on the mobile route sheet, and you can add that to that job. You'd see it in comments here, added job.
One possibility, I want to try that one.
The other spot that you'd be able to see activity if they crossed into a geofence and your GPS enabled is from the GPS tab. It will show you jobs completed and geofences crossed. So if you look here, anything in purple was on their route. Anything that's in white, it means they crossed a geofence, but it was not on their job. So some of these are municipal work, highway work, or larger sections, so it doesn't pertain, but you could see that as well in the GPS tab. So you want to make sure that from your printed route sheet or your mobile route sheet, all your activity is correct on your route builder. You've right-clicked and added any job references, forced any times by putting in the unit number. Then you go to route record, double check route record just to make sure all your inputs are in there. Look at the route performance, make sure it seems adequate and correct or highlights things you might want to follow up on. Then you would click lock and save. That makes these jobs available for billing. It also makes this route ready for the payroll piece. And then you move on to your next route or your next day. That will conclude today's session. We look forward to having you at next week's session.